Good afternoon and welcome to Chargers Outside Zone. I'm Chuck.
I'm Thomas, and today we'll be talking about the 80-man roster and the Rule 51.
Yeah, so as we head into OTAs next week, Monday, May 23rd, typically teams are allowed to have 90 men on the roster. Currently, the Chargers have 88 players signed to contracts and on the roster, so that's why we have the Chargers' current 88-man roster, if you will.
Yes.
But before we get into that, somebody has a big announcement.
I graduated.
Yes. As of right now, his high school class is having their graduation ceremony. So a big congratulations. Really proud of all the hard work that you did.
Thank you.
And big day. But you decided to go ahead and skip graduation and focus on the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Just a reminder, this is a father-son hobby. We are not experts.
We are not experts.
And we will try to stay away from hot takes.
Which we've done really well.
Sure have. Super. And with that, at the very end of last year, the Chargers had 13 reserve future contracts signed, and this is the list of those 13 reserve future contracts. Wide receiver Michael Bandy, defensive lineman Andrew Brown, linebacker Cole Christensen, defensive back Ben DeLuca, outside linebacker Emeka Egbule, wide receiver Maurice French, guard Ryan Hunter, tight end Hunter Campmoyer, defensive lineman Foster Merrill, wide receiver Jason Moore Jr., tackle Foster Sorrell, wide receiver Joe Reed, and outside linebacker Jamal Davis II. So those reserve future contracts, those players are part of the 88-man roster.
Yes.
Some of those names you would have seen on last year's practice squad. And
yes. And as we went into free agency and the offseason, our focus was on defense.
Yeah, and we'll get to the offseason moves here. From the end of the league year, went ahead and signed wide receiver Mike Williams, or re-signed him. The exclusive rights tenders went out to wide receiver Jalen Guyton, tackle Storm Norton, tight end Donald Parham Jr. The Chargers went ahead and released right tackle Brian Bulaga, traded for outside linebacker Khalil Mack,
which will be our second edge rusher.
Opposite Joey Bosa.
Yes.
Then 3 early signings in free agency outside the Chargers organization. So that was signing Sebastian Joseph Day for a defensive line. Big signing, J.C. Jackson, obviously, Mr. INT.
Yes.
Cornerback, bringing him in.
Yes.
Signed defensive lineman Austin Johnson. And then re-signed a couple of their own. Christian Covington on the defensive line, and bringing back quarterback Chase Daniel. Couple special teams moves with signing Falcons long snapper Josh Harris and Jaguars punter J.K. Scott. And that was kind of the first part of
free
agency, if you will.
So no real big moves on the offense, but our big rehaul was the defense.
Right, and
it needed to be.
Yeah, filling that outside linebacker spot, opposite Joey Bosa, bringing in some defensive line help for run defense.
We couldn't stop the run if we wanted to.
Yeah,
last year.
And then the Chargers moved to adding in areas of need ahead of the draft.
Yes.
And went ahead and brought in tight end Gerald Everett, obviously.
For a weapon for Justin Herbert.
Replacement for Jared Cook, help out, that tight end room. He was a former Los Angeles Ram. Didn't, from his interviews on YouTube, uh, didn't really know Brandon Staley that well since Brandon Staley was on the defensive side, but still wanted to join the Chargers and a Brandon Staley coach team. Brought in DeAndre Carter to replace Andre Roberts for that return, and he gives you a little bit more as a wide receiver than a Andre Roberts. And then another former Brandon Staley defensive player, Troy Reeder. Kind of a theme going on here.
Yes,
with Khalil Mack, Sebastian Joseph Day.
Quite a theme.
Troy Reeder.
Most head coaches want to get their guys in.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys
people who they've worked with before.
Guys that they know.
People that know the system. Yeah, and they can trust for sure.
Any head coach you can think of.
Yeah.
Does this. So it's not unnormal.
Right. And then the 3 exclusive rights tenders, those 3 players signed. That would have been Jalen Guyton, Donald Parham Jr., and Storm Norton. So they are back. Then a quick signing right before the draft, signed center guard Will Clapp. Obviously, then we had the draft, and we've covered the players: Zion Johnson, J.T. Woods, Tito Ogbonna, and the corners. Yes,
ad nauseum.
Yeah.
At this point.
And then shortly after the draft, the Chargers went out and grabbed cornerback Bryce Callahan that we talked about before. He was part of a Brandon Staley defense in Denver.
Yes.
I think in maybe Chicago. So they're reunited once again.
Was Brandon Staley in Denver?
Briefly. He was part of Vic Fangio's...
I did not know that.
Yeah, he followed Vic from Chicago to Denver. And then a really, really nice signing, not taken away from anything else on this list, but bringing in a Kyle Van Noy as edge 3 that's won championships and can bring a lot of different things to a defense.
So basically, we signed 2 edges this year.
Yeah.
Or traded for one and then signed one.
Right. And the other thing about Kyle Van Noy makes it a great signing is how late it was in the process. And getting him in before OTA started. And, post draft, so he doesn't count against the compensatory picks. Just a really good signing there.
Yes.
I don't know much about Zach Bailey. Seems he was with the Vikings and then the Commanders. He was waived by Washington and claimed by the Chargers. So they're picking up whatever contract he was on with the Commanders there. And, you see him on Twitter as a guard. I think on the Chargers website, he's listed as a tackle. So I guess we'll see what he ends up doing, right?
We'll see.
And then 2 days ago, the Chargers signed defensive lineman Morgan Fox. And once again, Morgan Fox
run stopper. Again, as a Brendan Staley
was with the Rams when Brandon Staley was with the Rams.
Yes.
And then he played last year in Carolina. So another reunited, reunion, if you will.
Reunions.
So those are, once again, all the off-season moves. And so we thought we would go ahead, before we took a look at the initial 53-man roster for 2021 and then projected a 53. but this is then putting a 53 next to, or should I say, the players that are trying to compete to find a spot on a 53-man roster, putting them next to who we think are already, part of that 53-man roster, if you will.
Yes.
Long way of explaining. My apologies for that, but we'll start at the quarterback position, and my bad there. Justin Herbert, Chase Daniel, Easton Stick, all back. The Chargers went ahead and added a fourth quarterback, Brandon Peters.
Just as a fourth arm.
He may find a way to the practice squad. He may not be, if there's no COVID protocol, maybe you don't need him. If COVID returns, maybe you do. But for now,
we don't know if the COVID rules are happening.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But I imagine that quarterback room remains unchanged from last year.
Yes.
It seems the three of them get along well and work together very well. Running backs, obviously Austin Eckler added Isaiah Spiller in the draft. Joshua Kelly has been around for the Chargers for a few years. Larry Roundtree III was added last year. Probably pretty confident in those four being the running backs, but then you bring in undrafted free agent Letty Brown and undrafted free agent Kevin Marks Jr. To add to that room for OTAs.
Legs.
Yeah, legs for OTAs and camp. And
yes,
maybe one of them does something spectacular in a preseason game and wins a spot. Who knows?
Who knows?
At fullback, obviously Xander Horvath was added in the draft. Competition for Gabe Neighbors.
As fullbacks.
Yeah, so whoever wins that fullback position is going to be heavy into special teams. And so yeah, let's drive some competition there and see what happens.
What?
It keeps Anyways.
It keeps
not focusing on your face because I think at certain points you look away and then it in the camera. Anyways.
Okay.
Probably. There's no issue. We're gonna keep this in. We're not gonna worry about it.
Okay.
So after the camera discussion, if you will, we'll move on to tight ends, and with the departure of Jared Cook, Steven Anderson, bringing in Gerald Everett. I have the number wrong there. Gerald Everett's number 7, but I think
you brought up during our meeting that they might do three tight ends.
Right. This might be a good place, to catch, to get a roster spot. Instead of carrying 4 tight ends, is there a possibility to go into the season only carrying 3? Can you put that roster spot to better use in a different position group? And maybe we have some ideas a little bit later. Unless last year's draft pick Trey McKitty doesn't do well in OTAs in preseason, that's the only way I see one of the 3 additional tight ends here: Stone Smart, Eric Cromenhoek, or Hunter Kampmoyer, really battling for a roster spot. I think Gerald Everett and Donald Parham Jr. are locks, and yeah, lots of competition there. Let's see who comes out, and I'm sure at least 1 or 2 of those guys will find a practice squad spot if they don't make the 53. At wide receiver, when I look at the list of 10 wide receivers here, I kind of see them going With Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jalen Guyton, Joshua Palmer, and DeAndre Carter, I really don't see them adding a sixth receiver.
Maybe just for fun.
No, I mean, I think you would carry them on your practice squad and maybe bring them up, depending upon how practice squad rules work this year. But I think there's not going to be a lot of change at wide receiver.
Yeah.
The other thing is, you're only carrying 5 wide receivers, but you do have Gerald Everett, who's a move tight end. You have Austin Eckler and Isaiah Spiller out of the backfield that can catch passes. So
Yes.
maybe not a whole lot of need for a
Enough-
6th wide receiver there.
Enough weapons for Justin Herbert there.
Yeah. Offensive line. So I went ahead and put Rashawn Slater, Matt Filer, Corey Lindsley, Zion Johnson, and put Storm Norton at that right tackle position. Obviously, there's competition between Storm Norton and Trey Pipkins, being out the outsiders that we are and not having any inside information. It's hard for us to tell who's going to win that camp battle. If it's going to be one of the two of them, or if it's going to be somebody else.
Somebody else that they bring in.
Well, and you could also have a scenario where Jamari Sawyer wins the left guard. You move Matt Filer to right tackle because he's played right tackle before, and you move Jamari Sawyer to that, or Zion Johnson to left guard, and Jamari Sawyer to right guard. So, the offensive line.
There's still some molding to do.
Yeah, and I think we'll get some signs, as we get into camp and into that first preseason game on who they like more than some of the other guys there.
Yep. I think Justin Herbert is going to be wrapped in bubble wrap
For most of the preseason?
for most of the preseason.
That's probably a good call.
I mean, came to do what the Cincinnati Bengals did
Yeah.
with Joe.
Yeah, with 3 preseason games,
There's no need for Justin Herbert to...
right. All right, you ready for the defense?
Yes.
All right, so through all the moves, free agents, signings, re-signings, there are now 10 defensive linemen.
There's a spot where you pointed out during our pre-podcast meeting.
Let's wait a second. With the, Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, Tito Ogbanya, they seem to like Christian Covington because they re-signed him.
Yes.
Jerry Tillery had his 5th-year option declined. He's in his 4th year. You added a Morgan Fox. With all the, you had Foster Merrill and Joe Gaziano get some play last year, get some snaps on the defensive line in different situations there. Is this a chance to maybe look for a trade for Jerry Tillery? What would you get in trade? Is somebody defensive line needy for a Jerry Tillery?
Honestly, wait till camp.
Unlikely to move him today. But if somebody's looking for defensive line, could he be an option for them? Because he doesn't seem to be part of the long-term plans, if you will.
He's an outsider looking in.
Kind of. Yeah. As we move on to edge, we now have a full room of edges with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Kyle Van Noy, Chris Rumph II. As we said on a previous podcast, what a great position for Chris Rumph to be in, to get a chance to learn from those 3, veterans.
Yes.
Just a really good spot for him.
Yes.
Through the futures contracts, Jamal Davis, Emeka Egbule, and undrafted free agent Ty Shelby. You know, it's going to be really difficult for one of the three of them to break through. Maybe they can, but it seems like an uphill climb.
It's more likely that they don't.
Yeah.
Maybe practice squad?
Yeah, one of them definitely, or one or two of them could end up on a practice squad and get to learn from those three guys, just like Chris Rumpf, and work on their craft and maybe land somewhere, next year, whether that's with the Chargers or with somebody else.
Yep.
Linebackers. So with the addition of Troy Reader, not much else has changed.
Not much.
Kenneth Murray Jr., Drew Tranquil, Troy Reader, Nick Neiman, Amen Ogbongbemiga, Cole Christensen, Damon Lloyd, Tyreek Maddox, Williams. That's the 8 linebackers currently.
We'll get better at names
when
we get deeper into this podcasting thing.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And this is still an area
where
maybe Brandon Staley likes Troy Reader a lot more than we do. We don't know the health of Drew Tranquil. I think this is still an area that probably needs some help.
Yes.
Quarterbacks, there are a lot of them. And
yes. It's stuffed like a turkey at this point on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, so obviously the big free agent signing, J.C. Jackson headlines that room.
He's staying on the roster.
Asante Samuel Jr., Michael Davis, Bryce Callahan, Tavon Campbell, Mark Webb Jr., Keeman Hall, Ben DeLuca, 2 draft picks, Dean Leonard, Jasir Taylor, and Brandon Sebastian.
I think the 2 draft picks stay on the roster.
I gotta imagine one or two of them end up on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Just a kind of a guess there. Let's see if we can.
I'm trying.
There it is.
I'm trying to look at you.
Yeah, I think the camera wasn't set up properly. Anyways.
Okay.
For the quarterback, we're still going to leave all that in because I don't want to edit, just for the record.
Today.
Or tomorrow or whenever we edit.
Okay.
So in the quarterback room, it's interesting that, 4 of the 11 are listed as DBs, while the other 7 are listed as corners. Have no idea what that means. But crowded room.
Brendan Staley and Tom Tedesco work in mysterious ways.
Definitely, and we'll see if they decide to carry 7 corners.
It's
on the initial 53-man roster. So something to watch.
It's likely.
Yeah. Safeties. Derwin James Jr., Nasir Adderley, draft pick J.T. Woods, Alohi Gilman, and then you have Raheem Lane and Skylar Thomas. This is that spot where I think that you could take the fourth tight end and make a 4th safety. I think you get more bang for your buck by keeping 4 safeties. That would mean Alohi Gilman staying and helping out there in that room.
Yes.
I think just carrying 3 would limit you, probably is the best way to put it.
Yes.
But once again, not experts. Maybe they have other plans, and they always talk about their safeties having corner capability, and they talk about like a Mark Webb having safety capability or slot capability. So
Yeah.
plenty of versatility across
Yes.
those two rooms. Specialist, only the kicker Dustin Hopkins has competition, or somebody else in camp, James McCourt.
At least Brendan Staley won't kicker. At least. I meant that as a joke.
Understood. I got it.
Okay.
So you have J.K. Scott, Dustin Hopkins, James McCourt, and Josh Harris. And that is your 88-man roster.
That is your 80-man roster.
88?
88-man roster.
88-man roster.
This
So you still have two positions or two players that you can sign to contracts.
Yes.
With putting this slide together, or these two slides together.
But it's mostly going to be probably 1-year contracts.
Well, I
Most
mean,
likely.
they're going to be contracts that aren't guaranteed. That the two positions I think are maybe you bring in another punter.
Yes, as competition.
And right now you have 14 offensive linemen. If you bring in a 15th, maybe a guard, maybe a center guard, a guard that has center capability, then maybe you have 15 in camp and you can run 3 lines.
It's like hockey.
Yeah, like hockey.
Running 3 lines.
So if the Chargers were to sign somebody in the next couple days, I would put on that list of most likely
Look at these two positions as
offensive line or punter.
Could be signed in the next couple of days.
After looking at the 88 players under contract at the moment, we thought we would take a look at the Chargers 2022 salary cap, right now over the summer.
And how it's divvied out.
Yeah, over the summer, it's the rule of 51. The current 2022 salary cap is $208,200,000.
But it will go up by years.
Yeah, but in 2022, that's the current cap.
Yes.
And so you have to make sure that your rule of 50, your top 51 players are fit underneath that cap. So these are the 51, starting with Joey Bosa on the left there, working your way through Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Corey Linsley, all the way through to player number 51 being Larry Roundtree III. So he is player number 51. And then past that is, according to Over the Cap, the Chargers have $16,548,819 of salary cap.
Yes.
Now, couple notes about that salary cap. You still have 3 draft picks that remain unsigned. So Zion Johnson, JT Woods, and Isaiah Spiller are going to move that number when they sign. So expect that number to go down once they sign. There's some calculation that you could do to know exactly, but we didn't take that time. Excuse us.
We can't.
I had to work today.
Yeah.
And he was busy graduating.
I was busy basically doing nothing.
And so they need to get those 3 players signed. I think Zion Johnson at pick number 17, he's going to get his fully guaranteed contract. That's pretty much by the formula no surprises there. Offset language won't be, it should all be pretty standard, especially since like pick number 30, George Karloftis got fully guaranteed. Pick number 29 all the way down through pick number 1 will all get guaranteed money. So his contract, I guess, is done. Just waiting on probably signatures for whatever reason. JT Woods and Isaiah Spiller, they sit at near the end of the third round, and in the fourth round there might be some NFLPA things going on there. Whether that's a split contract for injury or something else. They are probably a few areas of negotiating, but not anything drastic. But they should come in well ahead of camp, and they've probably already signed their release paperwork, obviously, if they were participating in rookie minicamp. So I would expect them to be there at OTAs.
Yes.
But once you get those 3 players signed, on some date you move from the rule of 51 to adding player 52 and player 53. And then you also have to take care of your practice squad. That'll be some money in there. And then, maybe leaving some money in the bank for some in-season moves.
In-season moves. Yes.
But yeah, that's where the salary cap stands as of today, according to Over the Cap.
Yes.
It's good to have some money to spend if you see something out there that you like. But
yes.
But I wouldn't expect a large signing at this point.
I wouldn't as well.
And with that, that brings us to the end of our
this
13th episode. And
wow.
Anything else that you wanted to talk about outside of graduation? Oh, by the way, if you made it this far, up here
Justin Herbert figurine
is our Justin Herbert figurine that we won on draft night by guessing correctly Zion Johnson as the first round draft pick of the Chargers.
Yes.
At PDIDDU, Diddy was the person that gave it away. It arrived yesterday, so a huge thank you to Diddy. Much appreciated. And
how about that Jimbo Fisher?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of old, a lot of old man on old man crime amongst
old
SEC head coaches
versus old head coaches.
I think the funniest part is
you're here for it.
Oh, I'm here for
I'm
it.
not.
I want to see them tear each other down in the media as much as possible. I just think that Nick Saban, making any comment about parity in college football.
Now he wants parity.
Yeah, like
that.
At what point did he ever want parity before?
Then at this point,
there was some competition.
He should be down for this idea. Why not just do a draft?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. With NIL, with different things, could you see high school players entering into a draft
pool?
A draft pool of some sort?
With a draft lottery?
Potentially dividing up, 5-star recruits among X number of schools, 4-star recruits.
Yeah.
The whole system needs to be probably looked at.
Torn down
and built back up. I mean, if we're looking for parity, right?
Yes. Nick Saban says he's looking for parity.
Yeah.
I don't believe him.
I'd like to see a head coach salary cap myself, or cap salary, if you will. I'm not sure. You know, everybody talks about how much money these football programs bring into the universities. But what I see is a lot of universities spending a lot of dollars on football programs.
Urban Meyer has a lot of money in Ohio State.
Oh, I'm sure. He collected a lot of money. But
So, this is his generation of head coaches bickering and fighting.
yeah. Nick Saban...
Just like politics.
Nick Saban complaining about parity is like the old man shaking his fist at the cloud. What the hell's going on? All right. What do you say we get out of here?
Yes.
Do us a favor.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, please subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Turn on notifications. Obviously we're here on YouTube at Chargers Outside Zone channel.
Yes.
On Twitter, you can follow us at LAC Outside Zone. And then if you feel like sending us an email, chargersoutsidezone@gmail.com.
We might read it on air.
We would definitely read it on air if we ever got an email. That'd be great.
Yes.
Anything else, big high school graduate?
Also, next episode is looking at the division.
We're gonna do. What team are we gonna do?
I think the Raiders.
All right, next episode will be the Las Vegas Raiders. What moves they've made since last year, and so come back and join us to take a look at the in-division rival Las Vegas Raiders.
Yes.
Awesome. Have a great weekend. See you on Tuesday.
See you on Tuesday.